Lexi Hull had that great steal to seal the win against Atlanta. Great start.
How does a team missing half its roster walk into the defending champion's house and flip the script? The Indiana Fever weren't supposed to even belong on the same floor as the Las Vegas Aces. Analysts laughed, odds makers shrugged, and fans expected a sweep. But then, in front of a packed Vegas crowd celebrating A'ja Wilson's MVP coronation, the Fever didn't just survive, they stole the night. What happened inside that arena wasn't luck. It was a statement, a blueprint for how a so-called broken team could shock the world. And the moment Caitlin Clark's reaction hit social media, the entire WNBA was buzzing. Stick around, because this upset wasn't just about one win. It was about belief, defiance, and history being written in real time. Before the ball was even tipped, the story was already written. Indiana entered the playoffs as the 6th seed, their roster shredded by injuries. Caitlin Clark out, Sophie Cunningham out, Sydney Colson gone, Chloe Beebe sidelined, Aari McDonald missing, Dearest Dantas unavailable, 6 players in total, stripped from their playoff rotation. What was left didn't look like a contender. It looked like a skeleton crew taped together, just hoping to hang on. ESPN panels labeled the matchup short and predictable. Vegas sports books didn't bother setting close odds. Fans debated not whether Indiana could win, but how much the Aces would dominate. Even the pregame talk was blunt. If the Fever managed to avoid humiliation, that would already count as success. The Aces were crowned before tip-off. The Fever were invisible, written off before the series even started. But the thing about sports, impossible odds often set the stage for unforgettable stories.
The 13-0 run is stopped by Natasha Howard.
It wasn't just numbers missing from Indiana's lineup, it was names that defined their system. Clark, the rookie phenom who filled arenas coast to coast, gone. Cunningham, their gritty defender, gone. Colson, the veteran leader, gone. Beebe, McDonald, and Dantas, all sidelined. 6 names that made headlines, leaving Indiana with a roster that looked patched together from spare parts. Commentators didn't just doubt them, they dismissed them. They shouldn't even be here became the running joke. Pundits said their season had already expired. The semifinal wasn't about competing, it was about surviving embarrassment. And yet, being overlooked can be the greatest weapon. No one prepares for you. No one expects you to fight. And when the first punch lands, it stings twice as hard. The setting could not have been more symbolic. Las Vegas, the defending champions, unveiling their MVP at center court. A'ja Wilson, the face of the league, receiving her trophy with banners above her and fans roaring around her. This was supposed to be her night. The script had been written, MVP celebration, dominant win, smooth path to the finals. The Fever, they were the background noise, the extra actors on someone else's stage. But the spotlight meant for Wilson didn't last long. By the final buzzer, the story had been hijacked. Vegas fans who came to cheer for dominance left stunned. What was supposed to be a coronation turned into a cautionary tale.
Sims, yet again.
That's a tough matchup.
The author of that hijack was Kelsey Mitchell, a guard who had always been respected as a scorer, but rarely celebrated as a star. This was supposed to be Wilson's night, but Mitchell rewrote the narrative with a performance that belongs in WNBA history books. She dropped 34 points on 12 for 23 shooting, hitting 4 threes, draining every free throw, and scoring from every angle on the court. Mid-range pull-ups, deep bombs, relentless drives. She refused to let the Fever fade into the background. And it wasn't just big numbers, it was historic. No Fever player had scored more than 30 in a playoff game since 2012. No one in league history had ever scored that much in their very first semifinal appearance. Mitchell didn't just shine. She carved her name next to legends like Cynthia Cooper and Lauren Jackson and then surpassed them. Even Caitlin Clark, sidelined in street clothes, couldn't hold back her reaction. Just 2 words on social media. Kelsey, unreal, simple, powerful, viral. That moment alone flipped the conversation. The rookie phenom recognizing the veteran who carried them on the biggest stage. But Mitchell wasn't the only reason Indiana won. While she lit up the scoreboard, the Fever's defense quietly dismantled the champions piece by piece. It started with Aaliyah Boston. Her assignment? Guard A'ja Wilson, fresh off her MVP award, playing in her prime. Most defenders shrink under that weight. Boston didn't. From the opening tip, she focused on disruption. Push Wilson off her spots, contest every catch, make every bucket a grind. The result? Wilson finished with 16 points and 13 rebounds. Decent numbers on paper, but stripped of rhythm. Every possession dragged, every shot contested. She looked human, and that was enough to slow Vegas's engine.
2 minutes to go in the quarter. Hull left open for three, and she hits it.
Lexie Hull joined the effort, shadowing Jackie Young. She fought through screens, chased her across the floor, and forced her into uncomfortable shots. Vegas's reliable second option suddenly looked muted. By the end, the Aces' offense felt suffocated, never finding its usual flow. The blueprint was simple: attack with defense, control the paint, and dictate tempo. And shockingly, Indiana flipped the one area no one thought they could win. They outscored Las Vegas 50-38 in the paint. The so-called weakness had become their weapon. Beyond the stars, the Fever's role players turned into difference makers. Odyssey Sims played with fire, driving straight at Vegas defenders, forcing fouls and pushing the pace. Instead of slowing down, Indiana sped the game up, making the Aces react instead of control. Natasha Howard was steady as always, recording a double-double and anchoring the interior. Brianna Turner didn't light up the box score, but her length and timing altered shots, turning the paint into contested territory. These weren't stat sheet moments. They were momentum moments. Every hustle play, every contested rebound, every fearless drive chipped away at the champs. Suddenly, it wasn't just Mitchell carrying the team. It was everyone. By the time the final buzzer sounded, the message was clear. This wasn't luck. This wasn't a fluke. Indiana had built a map to beat the champions. Final score: Fever 89, Aces 73. A 16-point dismantling of the defending champs in their own arena on their MVP's night in Indiana's first semifinal appearance in nearly a decade. Becky Hammond, Vegas's coach, admitted it herself. "We had no answer for Mitchell." That concession told the entire story. The Fever hadn't just pulled off an upset, they had taken control. Their style, their pace, their defense. They didn't just win a game, they exposed cracks in the armor of a dynasty. The Aces walked off the court stunned, their home crowd silenced. For the first time in years, Las Vegas looked vulnerable. And here's the thing about dynasties: cracks don't usually appear all at once. They show up quietly. A sloppy turnover, a missed rotation, a star forced into uncomfortable shots. Indiana didn't just win a game. They held up a mirror to the Aces and forced them to see flaws the rest of the league had been too intimidated to point out. And the pressure flipped instantly. Coming into the series, all the weight was on the Fever. They weren't supposed to compete, let alone win. But after this dismantling, now it's Vegas who carries the burden. The defending champs suddenly face a must-win situation. Another loss, and they're down 0-2 heading into Indiana, where the Fever's home crowd will be louder, hungrier, and ready to push their team over the edge. This is where champions show who they really are. Will Wilson bounce back and demand the ball? Will Jackie Young shake off the defensive clamps? Will Chelsea Gray rediscover her rhythm? Or will Indiana prove that this wasn't a fluke, that they're not just Cinderella at the ball, but the team ready to steal the crown?
Sims gets the ball back. Nice look inside to Turner. Terrific pass from Sims.
Because make no mistake, the Fever didn't just beat Las Vegas. They challenged the entire narrative of the WNBA. For years, the league has revolved around a few powerhouses: the Aces, the Liberty, the Sky. Indiana was an afterthought, a team used as a measuring stick rather than a contender. But now, with one game, one statement, they've forced everyone to take notice. The dynasty isn't dead, but it's shaking, and the underdog just became the hunter. But here's where the story gets even more dangerous, for both sides. Game 2 isn't just another matchup, it's a pivot point. Historically, in best-of-5 playoff series, teams who go up 2-0 win over 90% of the time. That means Indiana isn't just playing for another upset, they're playing to grab the series by the throat. But one win doesn't end a dynasty, and the Aces aren't built to fold. History shows nearly 30% of teams who lose Game 1 in a best-of-5 come back to win the series. Vegas has been here before, adjusting and bouncing back stronger. A'ja Wilson will be hunting for redemption. Jackie Young will look to shake off Hull's defense. And Becky Hammond has a reputation for tweaking game plans on the fly. The Fever now face the harder test. Can they handle being in control? Winning as an underdog is one story. Following it up when the opponent throws everything at you, that's something else entirely. Can Mitchell keep her rhythm when the doubles and traps come? Can Boston frustrate Wilson a second straight game? Can role players repeat their energy when Vegas tightens up? Game 2 isn't just the next step, it's the defining moment of their season. Win again, and they go home with a 2-0 lead and a chance to close it out in Indiana. Lose, and momentum resets.
Right.
Boston. Triple team, kicks it out. Kelsey, Mitchell.
This upset was bigger than one game. It was Indiana rediscovering its identity after a decade of irrelevance. It was proof that "we over me" isn't just a slogan, it's who they are. A patched-up roster missing 6 players walked into the Champs Arena and left with history. Kelsey Mitchell stamped her name next to legends. Boston proved she could battle an MVP. And the Fever reminded everyone that belief can topple even the strongest odds. Now, all eyes turn to Game 2. Was this the spark of a finals run, or just a fearless night that will be remembered as a one-off? Either way, the Fever have already changed the conversation. If you're fired up for the Fever, drop a "fired up" in the comments, and let us know what your thoughts are on this game. Hit the subscribe button so you never miss another video, and get ready, because this series isn't over and history might just be starting.